Hello and welcome to this extra segment of Church at Home with Rachel for Monday, the 28th of March. Generally, I just do one of these a day, but this morning I received an email from Huron University College in London, Ontario, letting alumni know that the professor, Dr. Doug Leighton, has cancer and it will not be with us much longer. And we are encouraged to reach out and let him know that we're thinking of him, to offer prayers and to just touch base. And so I wanted to do so. I will do that. I'll email him, but I also wanted to just chat for a moment with you about the importance of mentors and the importance of letting people know the impact they've had on our lives while they're still able to hear what we have to say to them. And so I'll just share a little bit about Doug with you. Doug is a priest in the Diocese of Huron. He is Professor Emeritus of History at Huron University College and was a professor of history there for years. Thousands probably of students have been impacted by his passion for both history but also for theology. And he found a beautiful way of allowing those two things to just be who he was for his life. Doug and I got to know each other when I was a student at Bishop Cronin Memorial Church, and he was one of a group of incredible clergy who made up the clergy team under the rector, Peter Wall, when he was there. Peter moved on to become the dean of the Diocese of Niagara and rector of their cathedral when I was heading into my third year. And generally speaking, a student wouldn't stay in a parish placement when the supervisor wasn't going to be there. But Peter and Doug and I made the case with my field ed professor that this would be a unique opportunity for me to be able to really see what happens during an interim, what happens when the priest leaves and they're preparing for a new priest to come. Something that I think every priest should experience if they can, because it really does impact the way we do ministry when we are the one leaving and we're the one coming in. But so Doug was going to be the interim priest after Peter left until they found a new priest, and he invited me to continue as the student at Cronin. His style was completely different from Peter's, which was again another gift to me. It gave me an opportunity to learn differently, to experience different ways of priestly ministry and liturgical ministry, and really gave me a completely different understanding of what it is to be priest, because being a priest wasn't Doug's full-time job. He was priest by vocation as well as being professor by vocation, and he lived every moment of both of those vocations, and that was a great example for me. I was reading this morning from one of the things I use for my daily office. It's called Our Daily Bread. And there's a passage from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. And then the writer shares that says, God's peace comes to us when our minds are steadfast. In Hebrew, the word for steadfast means to lean upon. As we lean on him, we'll experience his calming presence. We can trust in God, remembering that he'll humble the proud and wicked and smooth the paths of those who love him. Verses 5-7. Doug was very much a presence of steadfastness for me when I was at Cronin, and then continuing on as I was ordained and heading into ministry. And I don't think I've ever shared that with him. Doug seems to be unflappable. He always has a smile, and it's a big smile, but it's a slow smile that shows up. But the twinkle in his eye is always present. And it reminded me always, number one, don't take yourself too seriously. But number two, trust in God. Trust that you're here where you are because this is where God has called you to be. And in a time that I was anxious and nervous, and I am an anxious and nervous person by nature, Doug was, for the full year I was his student in third year of my Master of Divinity, in my placement with him at Bishop Cronin Memorial Church, he was a constant source of calm, a reminder of steadfastness, a gift to me from God that reminded me that I was indeed called to be a priest. And I was being blessed with this model of priesthood that was not simply something he did when he was at church, but was who he was even when he was in a classroom full of students teaching about Canadian history or the war or things like that. He was priest to them even when they weren't aware. Even if they maybe wouldn't have chosen that, he could be no less. He gave completely of himself. Doug is a person who has the greatest integrity, I think, of anyone I've ever known. He was a person of he is a person of great humility. And one of the beautiful gifts I was given a long time after I was ordained a deacon was the story about what happened the night I was ordained a deacon. We were only allowed to have one priest and one layperson present us. So I had a difficult decision to make. Which priest would I choose? Which layperson would I choose? So I chose Peter Wall, who had been my first mentor, and my mom, to present me at my ordination to the diaconate. And so we were gathered at the front, and when the Archbishop O'Driscoll asked who presents this ordinand, Peter and my mom were the ones who spoke up and said, "We present Rachel Louise Walker." What I was not aware of was back in the pews, in the chancel, in the nave of the church, where all the clergy were sitting together. I was not aware that Doug Leighton stood up. And he presented me as well. He never said anything to me about that. Somebody else told me that after the fact, long after the fact. And that I've carried in my heart for years, for almost 23 years, knowing that he was there supporting me and loving me and encouraging me and praying for me, even when I wasn't aware of it. And that, in a nutshell, is who Doug Leighton is. And so, Doug, if you're able to see this video, thank you for the gift you have given me in helping me to become the priest that I am. Thank you for helping me to remember that I will never be all that in a bag of chips on my own. I need to continue to listen for God's voice. I need to continue to look for and recognize and appreciate the mentors who are in my life, the people that God has given me as gift, as God gave you to me as gift, to share with me your wisdom and your peace, your steadfastness, your faithfulness, your integrity, your incredible faith. And thank you for just being a part of my growing up, because I think we know this of each other, but I was baptized at Trinity Church in Durham. That was my grandparents' church, and that church was meaningful to you as well. As a matter of fact, I believe you donated the Stations of the Cross. And whenever I would go in there in my adult years, I would see those and I would be there and remember that you are right there where I began. And it feels so appropriate that where I was baptized was a meaningful place to you as well. I will carry you in my heart forever, Doug. I thank you. And to everybody else who might be watching, take a chance to say thank you to your mentors. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't let them slip away, but reach out to them and thank them and pray for them and let them know how much they have meant to you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless you. And may God bless Doug Leighton and all of his family.